think a lot of people think that money is the only thing that is exchanged in a relationship, but they don't realize that time is actually a commodity as well, right? Time is a resource that we're all running out of, and a lot of us are running out of it more quickly than money. So some women think that going 50-50 is great because they're only splitting, 50% of their money, but they get to keep their time. However, they don't realize that generally at home, they're not going 50-50, right? I doubt that in those situations, the man is doing 50% of the dishes, 50% of the laundry, 50% of the child rearing. Things start to get really tricky because life isn't this black and white thing that we can just balance out on a P&L sheet. And especially when we're talking about something as delicate as love, I think love is all about teamwork. It's all about us. It's not this thing where we are partners in a business and where we need to split expenses in such an extreme way. So what my husband and I do is, when it comes to dates, so I kind of have different categories and I'll go into each of them and how we split up bills or tasks or whatever you want to call it. So when it comes to dates, my husband pays for all of our dates, okay? However, I plan all of our dates, okay? So that is something that I don't think a lot of people know, because they assume that, oh, he should plan the date, he should reserve the place. Well, if he's paying for the date, you should also be doing some sort of work, right? Maybe it's not monetary, but like I said, energy is also another resource. So when I go out and plan a date and reserve a place, I'm at least using up energy in a similar way that my husband does when he's earning money, right? So at least I have contributed in a team-like way. When it comes to birthdays, anniversaries, Valentine's, things like that, my husband does plan the dates, okay? So this doesn't mean that I'm planning my own birthday date, right? But on a weekly basis, when we do our weekly date nights, I am generally planning those dates the majority of the time, okay? And my husband has no problem paying for the full bill, right? Because I've planned the place, I've reserved the place, and I'll basically just let him know, babe, by the way, we have plans Saturday night at 7:30, right? And it makes it easy for him because now he's just able to show up. He doesn't really need to think about the whole planning process. This is something that I wanted to mention because a lot of women ask for the most ridiculous things, okay? Like I see these random TikToks flying around where women are like, oh my God, he wanted me to choose the place. Like, that's so low effort, that's so low energy. And while yes, I do agree that in the beginning, when you're just starting to date, men typically do plan, the place. When you are married, that is such an easy thing that you can take off of your husband's plate. And I find nothing wrong in doing that. I actually enjoy finding places and looking at reviews, and I'm actually a Yelp Elite member, so I do enjoy that process. And I'm not saying that my husband never plans a date. Sometimes he'll send me, a restaurant and be like, oh, I just saw this restaurant open up. Let's go here this week. But generally it is my kind of expertise to do that, and I love doing it. I take pride in it, and I'm happy to contribute in that way. I don't understand why there's all this kind of advice going around where a man has to do everything from pay to plan to pick you up to A to Z, yes, a man can pick you up, yes, he can pay, but it's no problem, planning the place yourself. And sometimes I'll pick out his outfit too, but that's extra. Okay, now when it comes to chores, I do the majority of the chores in our house, Okay, now I still am working though. I do want to put that out there that I am not like a stay-at-home wife by any means. I have a business, I have multiple streams of revenue. I'm not just sitting at home wasting away, okay? So in the case if I was a stay-at-home wife, I would probably be doing 100% of the chores in that case because I'd be home all day. But because I'm not, and because a lot of the times I'm out and I'm working, my husband does help me, which I'm so grateful for. He generally helps me with loading up the dishwasher, unloading it. He'll also put laundry in the washer and the dryer, and then I'll take over when it comes to like folding and putting the clothes away. And he also takes out the trash. So those are technically his roles, and I do everything else. So I do the vacuuming, I do the cleaning, I do the cooking, and once again, my husband is just amazing. Like, he always wants to help. So even if I'm cooking, he'll be like, how can I help? Can I chop something up? Can I make your life easier? So he's always jumping to the occasion to help. But you know, at the end of the day, I'm the one planning the meals. I'm the one going to the grocery store with my list. I'm the one who's kind of keeping track of what we need, what we're out of, things like that. I'm the one who keeps track of all of our monthly subscriptions. So making sure we have toilet paper, paper towel, shampoo, conditioner, body soaps, all those sorts of things, right? And that's pretty simple for me, and I'm happy to do that. Okay, but I really wanted to be detailed in this video because generally when I tell people my husband pays all of our bills, they think I'm just this spoiled brat who doesn't do anything, but I do things. And I want to make that very clear in this video. And I also want to say that every relationship is different, and what works for us might not work for you. So figure out a flow that works for you and your partner and stick to that, and you don't need to mind what anyone says about your dynamic as long as you are happy. So when it comes to appointments, I generally schedule doctor and dentist appointments. We also have a housekeeper that comes once a month, so I'm in charge of scheduling that, and any kind of other random thing that comes up. If there's a third party involved, my husband just likes when I take care of it, right? So I'm the one who's calling and scheduling and asking about prices and things like that. And the last category is bills. So when it comes to bills for our household, my husband takes care of all of our bills, okay? So rent, utilities, trash, all of that. The subscriptions, so Netflix, Hulu, all those things, our insurance, our phone bills, all of those things he takes care of. He also makes sure that all of our cars' registrations are up to date and things like that. So my husband really is a saint because I don't have to think about any of that stuff. I really have no idea even what bills are being paid, where, when, what, who. Like, it just flies right over my head, and thankfully he just takes care of all of it. Now, when it comes to vacations, my husband pays for all of our vacations, and I will generally help with planning. Flights, he generally does on his own just because he has a bunch of miles and points with airlines, so he will pick the flights, and then I'll help out with hotels and all the things that we're doing there, like activities, things like that. He manages the rentals if we're getting like a rental car or doing a tour or anything of that nature. He'll take care of that. And of course, you guys, I still spoil my husband. For example, last year for his birthday, I took him to Canada. So in that case, I was paying for the flights and the Airbnbs and whatever, right? So just because he pays for the bills doesn't mean that if it's our anniversary or his birthday or whatever the case may be, I always like spoiling him. And I'm not one of those dating coaches who's like, don't buy your husband any gifts. That's only for feminine beings, no. I believe that men should be spoiled too. Men deserve gifts too. Men deserve, to be surprised too. So I love surprising my husband. I love getting him gifts every now and then. I love getting lunch for us every now and then, or coffee, or whatever it might be. Sometimes I'll take him out on a date even. So it's not like I've never paid for a dinner or a lunch or a trip, right? It's just, generally speaking, when it comes to the norm, he is covering all of those things. And then every now and then, if I desire, I will cover it. I also want to mention that when it comes to things like investing and planning for the future, we do that separately, actually. So that's kind of different from, I know, a lot of other couples. My husband has his 401k and pension and stuff like that, and then he has his own investment account, which he has his own strategy for, and then I have my own investments that I do that I have my own strategy for. And we actually love having that balance, because what we found is there are seasons and years where his strategy flourishes, and there are years and seasons when my strategy flourishes. So it's nice because it kind of balances out, and we obviously have different risk tolerance because my husband is 17 years older than me, so he obviously doesn't take as much risk as I do. I'm more heavily invested into cryptocurrency and things like that, whereas he's more heavily invested into like funds like S&P and things of that nature, which are more solid and diversified. And so we actually like kind of doing our own things when it comes to investments, because it's kind of nice. We get to like compete a little bit, and we get to compare how we're doing, like how's your portfolio doing, what percent are you up this year, and then we'll kind of get a little bit competitive, and it's super cute. So I love that. And of course we are beneficiaries for each other. So although we are investing separately, lo and behold, if anything were to happen, we would be taking care of each other. So it's not like we just kind of divide our assets and don't commingle. Also, when it comes to just credit cards and debit cards and saving cards, we have our own separate accounts, so we do our own thing. And then my husband has a few credit cards that he has made me an authorized user for, so I'll use that for like groceries. I have one for Amazon and things of that nature. So I have my own cards that I'm able to use for me, from me. I also have obviously a business card that I use for business expenses. And then if I'm ever getting things for the house or for the both of us, then I have his card, which I'm an authorized user for. So that is basically our entire financial breakdown and how we do 50-50. I would love to hear how you and your husband split expenses. And once again, no judgment. Every relationship is different. Mine might look different from yours, and that is completely okay as long as you're happy. Wishing you all a wonderful day, and I will see you all very soon. Bye!